Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kauffman Stadium, and thank you for joining us for the 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
High shot hit deep to right. May go way up and go. Curveball hit right to Terry Shepard. He's going to get it. Will Severhagen pitches the first no-hitter of his career. Fastball swung on and missed. And a attempted steal and save. Sweeney safe at home.
Line off the glove of the pitcher. Base hit. The Royals have won it. It's over. Willie Wilson did it.
Strike three ball. He got him and the game is over. And he strikes it out.
No outs to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the field are members and representatives of the Royals Hall of Fame who were able to be with us tonight. From the class of 1986, pitcher Steve Busby. And outfielder Amos Otis. From the class of 1987, representing pitcher Paul Splittorff, his wife Lynn. From the class of 1989, pitcher Dennis Leonard. Class of 1992, shortstop Fred Patek. From the class of 1992, representing general manager and president Joe Burke, his son Vince. From the class of 1998, representing pitcher Dan Quisenberry, his wife Janie Quisenberry Stone. From the class of 2003, joining us from the Bally's booth, pitcher Jeff Montgomery. From the class of 2004, broadcaster Denny Matthews. From the class of 2008, representing scout Art Stewart, his daughter Dawn. From the class of 2012, head groundskeeper George Toma. Class of 2015, first baseman and designated hitter Mike Sweeney. From the class of 1987, representing manager and number 10 Dick Hauser, his wife Nancy. And class of 1994, third baseman and National Baseball Hall of Famer, number 5, George Brett. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium your host for tonight's ceremony, Royals broadcaster Ryan Lefevre.
Thank you, Mike McCartney. And tonight, we welcome another member of the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame. Ned Yost will be the 27th member and just the third manager in the 55-year history of the team. And before we get started, I would like to introduce members of Ned's family. Ned's wonderful wife, Deb. Ned's son, Josh. Ned's son, Andrew, and his girlfriend, Alicia. Ned's son, Ned the Fourth, and his wife, Sandra. And their children, Amberlyn, Isla, and Emery. Ned's daughter, Jenny. Ned's son-in-law, Amir. And their children, Everly and Jordan. And please welcome Ned's special guest, Kansas City police officer, hero, and inspiration to all of us, Sarah Nasser. From the Royals front office, President of Business Operations, Brooke Sherman. Executive Vice President and General Manager, J.J. Piccolo. Ned's coaches, Jason Kendall, Don Wakamatsu, Dale Swaim, Mike Jershely, and Rusty Kuntz. And how about some of Ned's players? The only player in Major League history with 3 triples for his first 3 hits, we called him PAULO Triple O, Paulo Orlando. He was here for only 3 years, but the Royals went to the World Series in 2 of those years. Pitcher Jason Vargas. He changed the attitude and the results on the field the day he arrived. Pitcher James Shields. Who can ever forget what he gave us during the 2015 World Series? Edison Volquez. World Series Game 5 winner, Luke Hochevar. He had the game-winning hit in the 12th inning of Game 5, Christian Colon. The next 2 not only changed the way bullpens were put together in Kansas City, they changed the way bullpens were put together in the entire game. First, the Bulldog, Greg Holland. And it was always good news when the game ended and Rex Hudler said, "Waiter, check please, Wade Davis." He hit a home run right here in Game 1 that set the tone of the entire World Series with the 2014 American League Championship trophy, Alex Gordon. You'd better be in your seats for the first pitch of the game because he was swinging. 2015 American League Championship Series MVP, Alcides Escobar. And the last man standing here in Kansas City, 2015 World Series Most Valuable Player, the captain, Salvador Perez. The Royals Hall of Fame was established in 1986 to celebrate the accomplishments of those players, coaches, and other personnel who have made exceptional contributions to the Kansas City Royals. To be elected, individuals must appear on at least 75% of all ballots. It is a very high bar and the highest individual honor the organization can bestow. And tonight, September 2nd, 2023, that honor now belongs to the winningest manager in franchise history, World Series champion, and the newest member of the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame, Ned Yost. To speak on behalf of the Royals organization, please welcome Royals Chairman and CEO John Sherman.
Ned, congratulations. Tonight we're here not just to celebrate what you did, but how you did it, and more importantly, the lasting legacy you left to this community. Tonight, surrounded by our fans, our current team, members of the 14 and 15 teams, some of who came a long way to honor you, by some of the greatest players in Royals history, some of who I found out the other night played against you when you were a catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, and by the entire Kansas City community to whom you have given so much. Tonight, we want to wrap our arms around you and say thank you. We all remember those incredible seasons of 14 and 15. Back-to-back American League championships, taking the World Series to a 7th game against the Giants, and then coming back and going wire to wire to win it all against the Mets. A remarkable accomplishment. Ned, it's something we'll never forget. In fact, productivity went to an all-time low in this town. We were sleep deprived, but we wouldn't have traded it for anything. We remember Salvy's hit down the third base line, just out of the reach of Josh Donaldson, giving us a wild card win and a walk-off, and we were on our way. We remember Herrera, Davis, and Holland, HDH, our shutdown bullpen. I think I saw a couple of those guys here tonight. And who could forget Game 1 of the 2015 World Series? Alcides Escobar, his inside the park home run. Got us off and running, but that game became tough. You know, we were down in the bottom of the 9th, and we just saw Alex walk out of the dugout. We all remember that moment, an electric moment, when he hit a home run over the center field wall, bottom of the 9th, and really changed the complexion of that World Series in Game 1. In this community, those October moments are unforgettable, etched into our memories forever. It's the power of baseball, October baseball. In my view, there's nothing like it in sports. But there's more. Ned, your contagious optimism, it's kind of rubbed off on me, actually. You believed in the players, then they believed in themselves, and ultimately, they believed in what they could do for this team and what they could accomplish together. You hosted the World Series trophy, and in that moment, that legendary, powerful moment, you gave Kansas City the power to dream bigger. In 2014, in 2015, the eyes of the world were on Kansas City, and we showed ourselves well. To this day, Some still say to me that those were the moments that changed everything for our city. You and this team lifted our spirits and gave us the power to dream big. Ned, your impact is nothing less than that. That's the lasting legacy that you've given us all. Thank you for never quitting, for always believing in your players, and for always believing in Kansas City. Because you did. Because you did, the rest is history. We will never forget the way you made us feel. Thank you for that, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. On Thursday, May 13, 2010, Dayton Moore hired Ned Yost to become the 16th full-time manager in Royals history. Their collaborative effort, along with the work of many others, turned the lights on in Kansas City and sent the Royals to Game 7 of one World Series and a championship the next year. To officially induct Ned Yost, please welcome back to Kauffman Stadium the architect of the 2015 World Champions, Dayton Moore.
It is the goal of every major league front office to hire a manager that all players aspire to play for. A manager who will model an attitude and character traits that reflect team first. Someone who can recognize talent in players and staff and instill confidence in them to believe in themselves. On May 13, 2010, we hired Ned Yost. But he wasn't just a manager. He was a transformational leader. Ned was fearless. He was tough and determined. He made us all believe that a World Series championship was soon in our future. The players began to understand the importance of unity and oneness of purpose. They immediately sensed Ned's intensity and a culture of belief in the clubhouse and on the field was being developed. But not only in the major leagues, in the minor leagues as well. Ned taught me and others the highest form of knowledge is wisdom. He made it very clear that if you simply commit to doing what is necessary for the team, I will commit to you as a developing major league player. And that's exactly what he did. Not one time did Ned ask us to send a player down to the minor leagues. His commitment to the players was unwavering. His philosophy created a win for each other mentality that was simply relentless. Yes, it was relentless, which was evident from all the come from behind victories. But the play on the field was highly entertaining as well. Ned desired baseball players who were athletic and could help the team win in multiple ways. One of our very first conversations was about base running and base stealing and the importance of having athletic players on the field who could defend. I'm often asked about my reaction to how to explain the magical events of the wild card game in 2014 against the Oakland A's. My response to that question is this: our players had been preparing for that moment and those situations since the very first day Ned became manager. It was his belief, his preparation, his never back down attitude, and his fearlessness that guided each impactful moment in that game. Ned, I know you refused to take credit for what we accomplished in Kansas City. And you and I both know it's about players, and it's always been about players. But leaders shape culture, and you forever have left your mark in Royals history. Yes, you're the all-time winningest manager with 746 wins. Yes, you guided us back-to-back World Series and a World Series championship in 2015. And along the way, your postseason winning percentage is still the highest in Major League history. We celebrate the accomplishments of your leadership then, we celebrate it today, and we will forever celebrate it into the future. Ned, we both know that our team's at home, and you had a special team at home. Deborah, Jenny, Ned the Fourth, Josh, and Andrew, thank you for your sacrifices to make all this possible. In behalf of all your friends in baseball, the players who were honored to play for you, and these great fans who cheered you on, congratulations. We are all extremely proud of this very special moment.
Thank you, Dayton. With that, let's turn our attention to Crown Vision and look back at Ned's career here in Kansas City.
You believed. We see that now. We know that now. We feel that now. Our fans, our coaches, and especially us players. It's part of the story of all of our lives now. It's hard to remember a different way. But it was different back then, wasn't it?
I think the challenge of this job at this point is tremendously attractive to me because I think that it's doable. I think that we can get this turned around. I think we will get this turned around.
You managed us for the first time on May 14, 2010. We beat the White Sox.
Ned Yost, his first win as manager of the Kansas City Royals.
You told us, you told everyone that there would be more of that coming. We wanted to believe right there with you, but sometimes you saw things before everyone else. Sometimes you saw things in us before we did.
It's our time.
Yes, sir.
It's our time, what we've been waiting for.
Yes, sir.
The future's bright when you have special young players in the minor leagues that aren't far away from coming up here and being a key piece. And that's a bit of a process, but it's not as big a process as you think. So it starts today.
And the Royals don't quit. They keep battling. And good things seem to happen at the end.
You always saw the best in us. Before we won, you told everyone we would. And the more we heard it, the more we started to believe it. You always had our backs, no matter what. You made us feel like we belong, no matter what. That the destiny was already ours, and all we had to do was play the game that we love. That felt more like a fun thing to change than a monumental problem.
Pass through into left field. The Kansas City Royals are walking off into the ALDS. What a night here in Kansas City.
The Royals hadn't won in a generation, but with you, you brought out the best in us, and together, we brought out the best in the Royals. That's all because you believed, and eventually, we made everyone else believe it too.
Strike three called. They've done it. The Royals, 2015 World Champions.
We went together through so much. We've gone through hard times, we've gone through great times. And I'll never forget when we had a parade downtown with 850,000 of my best friends. I will never, ever forget my time here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you guys.
A new tradition was born on Thursday night when, for the first time, Royals Hall of Famers were given official Hall of Fame sport coats. Inspired by Art Stewart's trademark powder blue blazer, each sport coat has a Hall of Fame patch on the outside and an Art Stewart signature patch on the inside. As the most recent Royals Hall of Fame inductee, I'd like to invite Mike Sweeney to present Ned with his new Royals Hall of Fame blazer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 27th member of the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame, Ned Yost.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is indeed a tremendous honor. There are three main reasons why I'm here today. The players, the coaches, and the entire Kansas City Royals organization. Players get here on their own merit. I'm here because of the hard work and dedication of others. I spent 17 years in the Atlanta Braves organization, 5 as a minor league coach and manager, and 12 years in the major leagues under Hall of Fame manager Bobby Cox. I then went to Milwaukee and spent 7 years there as a major league manager. Those experiences taught me a great deal. We had a great group of young, talented players who came up together in Atlanta and Milwaukee. Both teams were in dead last place when they came up. My experience was 2.5 years later, these players developed into a championship caliber team. Coming to Kansas City, I knew that it takes talent to win. No matter how hard you want to, without talent, you will go nowhere. But boy, did this team have talent. In 2010, we had the 16th ranked minor league system. In 2011, we had the #1 ranked system. And then in 2012, we were #2. We had young players in the minor leagues like Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Aaron Crow, Danny Duffy, Gerard Dyson, Luke Hochever, Paulo Orlando, and Christian Colon. In 2011, we added Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain. In 2012, we added Wade Davis and James Shield. In 2014, we added Jason Vargas and Chris Young, and in 2015, Edison Volquez. These guys were the nucleus of our championship team. my job was to give them time, just like in Atlanta and Milwaukee, to develop and gain experience. In order to do that, I knew I had to create a winning attitude. Consistency, structure, organization, and discipline were key. I wanted our players to know exactly what they were doing the second that they came into the clubhouse to the minute they left. If you provide that for them, they will go anywhere you want them to go. It was also direly important to believe in your players and share your goal. My only goal was to bring a World Series championship to the Kansas City Royals. I wanted people who were kids in 1985 who enjoyed the championship with their moms and dads now be able to share that experience with their own children. That was extremely important to me. At times, it was hard for you to understand what I was doing. My objective was to allow each player to gain as much experience as possible so they would be prepared to compete for a championship down the line. I would rather lose today so that we could win it all tomorrow. When people couldn't understand why I wouldn't pinch hit late in the ball game or why I left a pitcher in a hitter or two longer than they shot I should, that was for the player to gain experience for how to handle those tough situations, which all paid dividends in 2014 and 2015. Early in the process, Dayton brought this Royals hammer down to my office. And as you see, it's a beautiful hammer. Baseball, stitching, Royals, and Royals. I thought it was cool. Cool hammer. I looked at it and said, "That's neat. What's it for?" Dayton looked me straight in the eyes and said, "With this, we're going to build something great together." During another conversation with Dayton, we were talking about the players. I told him, "Dayton, Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera, Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Billy Butler, Aaron Crow, and Wade Davis. These guys are all going to be all-stars." Dayton looked at me and he said, "We're going to have a team full of all-stars?" And as funny as it sounded at the time, I believed it. And in 2015, sure enough, we had 7 all-stars on the American League squad. And each and every one of those guys made an all-star team during my tenure here. Bobby Cox told me when I became a manager, "Coaches prepare the players, you manage the game." I wanted coaches who had great work ethic, knowledge, experience, and energy. Coaches who could teach, mentor, and believe in our players as much as I did. I found that in a tremendous group of coaches. Dale Swaim, Rusty Kuntz, Mike Jershely, Pedro Gaffal, Dave Island, Don Wakamatsu, and Doug Henry. They spent endless hours daily on the computer and on the field, working for any advantage to help us win. Each and every one of them was all in. And one of the main reasons we were so successful during that time was because of their tremendous ability to teach players winning baseball. What you see on the field is just the tip of the iceberg. It takes the entire organization pulling together to have success. And we had a truly hardworking and dedicated organization. It all started with the front office led by Dayton Moore. You have people like J.J. Piccolo, Scott Sharp, Jen Wong, Renee Francisco, Dr. Daniel Mack, Kyle Vannell, all held together by the expertise of Emily Penny. We had a great amateur scouting department led by Lonnie Goldberg and a great pro scouting department led by Gene Watson. Scouts like Mitch Webster, Mike Pasick, Tim Conroy, Jim Fregosi Jr., and Alex Zumwalt. They spent countless hours combing the country for players that could help us win. And I would have to mention the great Art Stewart, who was without a doubt our biggest supporter. We had a great player development staff that worked with our young players diligently to get them ready to play in the big leagues. Their impact was essential for what we were trying to accomplish. They worked as hard behind the scenes as we did on the main stage. We had an extremely talented group of trainers, led by Nick Kinney, Kyle Turner, and Jeff Blum. All the players were kept in tip-top shape by conditioning coach Ryan Stoneberg. They worked tirelessly late into the night and on off days to make sure players were able to get on the field and perform at their highest level. We had a great group of doctors from the University of Kansas Health System, led by Dr. Key and Dr. Nolan, who took care of our every medical need. In my opinion, our clubhouse staff was unparalleled, led by Jeff Davenport. Under Jeff was Chuck Hawk, Pat Gorman, Jake Van Overen, Tyler Elgenter, Brent Penner, and Tom Walsh. And our every dietary need was fulfilled by TJ Stack, a phenomenal chef. It's hard to imagine how much they took care of each and every need that we had, from tickets to hotels to cleaning our laundry and sorting our mail. The job that they did was very unheralded, but crucial to our success. Every night we played on a field that was immaculately prepared by the Kansas City Royals grounds crew, led by Trevor Vance. So we always had a top-notch field to compete on here at home. We also had a great broadcasting crew under the leadership of Mike Swanson. Denny Matthews, Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Steve Fizerock, Steve Stewart, Joel Goldberg, and Jeff Montgomery all brought the excitement into your house every night with great energy. In closing, I want to say a couple of special thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Glass. Today would have been his 88th birthday. He was a dogged competitor. He hated to lose, and he would get grumpy. I'd hear a knock on the door. He'd be standing there, and he'd look at me, and he said, "Can I have a few minutes of your time?" And I'd always look at him, and I'd say, "Well, that just depends on your attitude, doesn't it?" He would smile and laugh and sit down on my couch. I would tell him where we're at, I'd tell him where we're going, and I'd tell him how we're going to get there. And he never left my office without laughing and smiling. And he never left without asking this question: what can I do to help? He was a fantastic owner, and I loved Mr. Glass, and I know he's looking down on us right now at this very moment. I'd like to thank Dayton Moore. Dayton and I had a special relationship, as he said earlier. For 10 years, we worked diligently hand in hand to try to do what was best for this organization and for this city. Dayton was the one that made crucial deals that brought in Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Wade Davis, James Shields, Jeremy Guthrie, Chris Young, Johnny Cueto, and Ben Zobrist. All the guys were crucial to help us win World Series and championships. Dayton was the one that came into my office in spring training or before spring training and said, look, we can't afford to spend money on starters, so I'm going to give you the very best bullpen that I can get you. I didn't have any idea that he would amass 5 closers in that bullpen. When we had Hawley and Wade, and we had Herrera, Hoach, Ryan Matson, the opposing team knew that in the 5th inning, if we were down 2, if we were tied, or if we were ahead, that game was over. Under Dayton's leadership, we accomplished the hardest thing to do in all of baseball, a small market team winning a world championship. There's not a player that has walked through that clubhouse that hasn't admired Dayton, that hasn't respected Dayton for his integrity, his honesty, and his support. Every man ended up loving Dayton more, as I do, Dayton. I love you very much. Thank you for everything. I would like to thank the players and the coaches. Every single day, they gave everything that they had. They played their hearts out for you. They played their hearts out for each other. And those 10 years with these kids were some of the happiest times of my life. And I appreciate them greatly. And every time I see them, I get a warm spot in my heart. Love you guys. September 17th marks my 46th anniversary. Deb and I have been married for 46 years. For the first 42, she had to go it on her own. She was so supportive. She knew that when I came to the baseball field, I was all in. And she was all in raising our family. Without her love, without her support, there's no way that I'd be standing here right now. For 42 years, she allowed me to chase my dream. So being away from her, really, in a sense, for half the year, for 42 years, the last 4 years, I've been with her every moment that I could. Thank you, baby, for everything. One thing that I would like to say is that you've never heard me say this, but every single night before I go to bed, I'd pray. And I would ask God every night to protect these players, to keep these players strong, keep them healthy, keep them continuing to have energy every single day and play their best for this city, for their family, and for their teammates. And I always ended that prayer with, Lord, please help us win a championship. This is a phenomenal city. These are phenomenal fans, and they deserve it, Lord God. And in 2014, 2015, God blessed us all. And finally, to you fans, thank you for your support. I knew, even as a player in the early 80s, when we would come in here to watch the great George Brett teams play, the energy and the excitement that was generated in this stadium. And I knew that we could do that again. We just had to do our part. But your support has been phenomenal. And without you guys, all of this wouldn't mean much. So because of you, it means everything. Thank you for everything. I truly appreciate this special night.
Well, before we get to the ball game, Ned has always said that his one regret was that Salvi didn't get to catch the final out of the World Series. So it's only appropriate that Ned's first pitch tonight ends up in Salvi's glove. Thank you, Salvi. Congratulations, Ned. Thank you for being here tonight on a pleasant Kansas City evening on September the 2nd, and we hope you enjoy the game.